Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Let's talk about Marquez's interview with Queen Shiba. Shout out to Queen Shiba for that amazing interview. Now, I will say that Marquez definitely comes across a lot better on Queen Shiba's interview than he has throughout the season of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now, we know that editing plays a huge role in how people are portrayed on the show. That is clear as day, because if we compare the person that we're seeing in this interview, it seems very, very different to the person we're seeing on the show. Now, of course, I know the show has to highlight certain important bits. That is not to say that he is a different person from who we see on the show. But I think this interview allowed and provided some context to who Marquez is. Now, I will say I did wish that Marquez talked a little bit more about the allegations by Ken and Trish in relation to financial provision for him. I wish he would talk about that a little bit more and clear it up, but he didn't. That said, I want to talk about the things that he did clear up for us, and one is their divorce. Now, we know throughout this whole season, a topic of conversation has been their divorce. It's been brought up so many times. There was even a whole scene where they signed the papers and were meant to get it notarized, all that kind of stuff, only to find out that things haven't really progressed with the divorce. These are the things that makes it really hard to get behind the storyline on Love and Marriage Huntsville. At the reunion, they were making it seem like Marquez was being difficult when it comes to the issue of the divorce, only to find out that Tricia made a mistake in the paperwork. Imagine filing a paperwork that asks whether or not you have a minor child or minor children, and you decide to say you don't have minor children when in fact you do have minor children. Of course, as a parent, who will not contest that document? If I saw something claiming that I don't have minor children when I do, I will be contesting the document. It goes without saying. All Trish had to do was complete the document accurately, and things may have progressed, but she didn't. And I wish that was gotten into a little bit more at the reunion. From what I saw, it sort of looks like Marquez was not doing what he needed to do. And because of that, they're going to have to progress without him because he contested. When the fact is, the filing that was done by Trish was incorrect. And so I just wish that they would give us this sort of context. I don't know if Marquez brought it up at the reunion and it was cut out. I don't know what it is. I suspect that could be a thing. I just think they need to do better at the way they edit stuff. Give us the context, please. Without the context, it makes it seem like Marquez does not want to be divorced and wants to continue to be in this marriage. That's what it comes out or comes across as. Or it comes across as Marquez trying to be difficult when in fact that's not necessarily the reality, at least in relation to this divorce filing. Now, Marquez was asked whether he believes it's an oversight. He did not really believe it was an oversight by Trish. He felt like this was done so that in the future, if he wanted to be able to see his children, he would end up having some difficulties in that area, which may even include him having to reestablish paternity. I'm really hoping that it's a mistake on Tricia's part and genuinely an oversight, because the implication of doing that comes across as you not wanting him to spend time with his daughter, which you don't want to come across as doing that. You don't want to be the one that is in between the daughter and her relationship with her daddy. So I genuinely hope it's an oversight and they can move forward in a constructive way. Let's move on to some things that he said about Trish that I thought was interesting. He talks about how they met when they were both in high school, and how Tricia grew up fighting. I can absolutely see that. Tricia gives the energy that she is a fighter. So I'm not surprised that Marquez talked about her beating people up in secondary school or in high school, sorry. He also mentioned some things which made it seem like Tricia was a little bit of a fast kid. So he talked about how he invited her to prom. She went to prom with someone else. That is crazy to me. Especially doing that at such a young age. He talks about how she would like flirt with other men in front of him when they were younger. And I just thought that is so weird. I cannot imagine being in a relationship with someone, whether or not I'm a child or not. Imagine being in a relationship with someone and flirting with their friend right in front of them. That is so wild to me. And I feel like it just gives the vibe that she is still attracted to that chaos. Because when Ken and Martell were going at it, and when Ken was clearly embarrassed by what Martell said, she was just laughing. She was just there, didn't even care. It was almost like she was enjoying it. Which is why I feel like she definitely needs a lot of therapy, because something is not right over there. Now, that is not to excuse Marquez. I still think Marquez needs a handle on his emotions and should actually get some therapy. And I think they need counseling as a family unit, because I think a lot of things are broken there. The other thing that I thought was interesting was Marquez referred to a message that he got from his daughter, where his daughter was saying that he shouldn't act stupid at her event or she's going to block him. That is a very strong thing to come out of a teenager's mouth, where they are bold enough to speak to their dad like that, which makes me feel like there is something there. Now, this is not to say that this can't be part of Tricia's influence on the child, but I do think aside that, I think there is more to it. I feel like Marquez has probably offended his daughter, has not come through for his daughter in times and situations that really mattered to her. And she is now looking to Ken to fill in that void in some way. Because I personally feel like for a child to say something like that to her daddy, that it must have been completely out of hand. So I think Marquez, I really believe that you guys need some serious counseling. You need to get your daughter in therapy so that she can process whatever it is that has happened that needs to be talked about. And you guys can then talk about it as a unit. Because I feel like Marquez may mean well, but he may have hurt her feelings at some point by some of the things that he has done. And so I think he needs to make sure that he can bridge that gap between her. Because the problem is the older she gets, if it's not bridged, the harder it is to reconnect. It then becomes harder to bridge any gaps that has been formed between you guys. So I really believe that Marquez needs to prioritize it. And I know he said that he's in talks with production and OWN and all that kind of stuff to try to see if they can offer counseling. But I think that even if they do not offer counseling, I believe that he needs to figure out a way to get counseling for his family. They truly need it. If they are going to move forward, they really, really need it. Especially if he doesn't want his daughter to grow up and make the same mistakes that Tricia's making in relationships, then Marquez really needs to prioritize his daughter's mental health and her well-being in totality. Marquez also said, allegedly, that Martell and Tricia allegedly have messed around in the past. Now, he couldn't give us a time frame, and he couldn't tell us whether there was an overlap between Ken and Martell. If you had to ask me, now I wasn't there, but I would have to assume there is. Because why else is Tricia constantly lying? The way I think about it is, if it is not important, right? If it's a thing where Ken was not with her at the time, why is she lying so much about Martell? Think about it. What is the benefit to lying about it? This was before him anyway. So why not just say, yes, Martell and I had a thing back in the day. This was way before you. It was a one-time thing. Whatever it is, say it and be done with it. But the fact that she kept lying, she kept turning and twisting the timelines, just lets me know there must have been an overlap between her and Ken. And that is what she is scared of, in my opinion, and allegedly. Also, to finalize, I want to talk about Marquez exposing Ken. He calls Ken a simp and an opportunist. Oh my goodness, opportunist. Right, finally. And he apparently has receipts of Ken cheating, allegedly. Okay. Apparently, he has receipts of Ken talking to a fan, giving a fan his number, and sending dick pictures to a fan. That is absolutely wild. If that is the truth, that is wild to me. Like, why would you do that? Like, dick pictures is such a stupid thing to send in this day and age. Like, don't you know that everything is going to be living on that cloud? Like, why would you do that? Someone can screenshot it. Most people are going to save it because they need to have proof in case you lie that you didn't send the dick pic. So I just don't understand why anybody in their right mind would do that, especially to somebody random, somebody you don't know. This is not your partner. This is just a fan that reached out to you. So it's out of order if that is true. And to be honest, I guess Trish and Ken are really caught from the same cloth. If they're both out here just slinging it, then they're both caught out of the same cloth and they need to stay together and save the rest of us from their BS. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, hit that subscribe button and tap that bell button so you guys know every single time that I post. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.